in Africa. We watched other countries take advantage of that. But now it's our turn. It's our time.
It's our time.
Yes.
We get to come home.
Yes, we get to come home.
Don't
I
go
love
home,
that.
come home.
Yes, yes. Now I know what y'all thinking. What about my internet? What about my TikTok? What about my Wi-Fi and my electricity and my microwaves? What about my driveway and my paved streets? Number one, here in Chicago, we have potholes every other block. You know that. Let it go. Wi-Fi. You know your Wi-Fi is not as strong as it needs to be because 5G is not everywhere. And another thing is the groceries are so high here. Why not go into the wild and get food that's fresh and it's right there? Okay. I'm just saying.
Listen. Oh my goodness. Don't be dismayed, don't be confused, and don't have it twisted.
Right.
National Geographics is you grew up watching National Geographic.
Lies.
That is not our Africa, okay? No. That is not our Zimbabwe, okay? We're talking about industrialized cities. We're talking about all the same things we got here in the States. But anyway.
Yeah. All right. So Jonah is with us. I want to make sure that everybody knows who he is. Jonah is the Minister, Counselor, Trade and Investment Republic of Zimbabwe. He comes by way of phone on our show today. You're listening to the Wake Up Show, and I want to welcome Jonah to the show before we go to commercial break. Hi, Jonah.
Hi, how are you? Thank you so much for having me around. I'm excited to be part of the show. Thank you so much.
We're excited to have you, especially since we were at the conference. We were at the 19th annual business conference with the Illinois State Black Chamber of Commerce, which was getting down to business. And you showed us that beautiful presentation of how Zimbabwe actually looks. Now, I didn't know if I was watching How Stella Got a Groove Back or if I was watching, Come On Over to Zimbabwe, because it just looked that peaceful. It was beautiful.
Wow. That's what it is, I'm sure you might have already heard from Larry and about the feedback when they visited the country. It's so beautiful, awesome, and we can't wait to have an opportunity to be in Zimbabwe. A beautiful country, peaceful. You can say that again.
Absolutely. So we're going to go to commercial break and we're going to round up, and I'll have a question for you straight from Larry Ivory. And you're listening to the Wake Up Show, Chicago, and we'll be back. Pearson, and we did want to let you know that Larry Ivory is out today and Buddy Love is also out today. But we have two special guests, and one of them that's online with us is Jonah Mushayi. And I want to make sure that everybody knows that I had a soundbite that was going to play where Larry was asking, what is it that, or should I say, the question is, how does Africa feel about African Americans? And Jonah, who best to answer that but you? Can you answer that question for us this morning?
Well, all I can say is that when we look at the African Americans, we look them as our brothers and sisters. Actually, we have we view African Americans as the sixth continent of Africa, so to speak, and therefore we feel that they have to play a role in the development of Africa. So when we get into partnerships with the African Americans, we feel like we are brothers coming together to help the continent to grow. So yeah, they are our brothers and sisters with a long history that we share together.
I think that's a very important point. I think that the continent of Africa, the various countries are doing different things in order to embrace African Americans. Nigeria is working on the dual citizenship. Zimbabwe is working on making it easy for African Americans to come over there and do business. I think a business license is $100, $100 US. To be able to purchase land, to be able to get involved in farming or to get involved in mining and various different industries. So many countries that are truly opening up their arms and giving us the ability to not just come home, but to have businesses, to be able to buy homes. Americans, one of the American dreams is to be able to have a vacation home in Florida or in California or in an island, but we can have a vacation home in Nigeria, in Zimbabwe.
I'm gonna make America my vacation home. I'm
come
gonna
on.
I'm moving to Zimbabwe, and I will come to the United States occasionally.
So, Jonah, let me ask you this question. So when the chamber, when the delegation went over to Zimbabwe, what was the mission? What was the plan? What is it that we were trying to establish in that delegation mission that just happened?
Right. So it all started when we came down to Chicago and we engaged the business community. And so when we engaged with the Illinois State Black Chamber of Commerce, and when we presented to them the opportunities available in the country, they decided that we can't wait any longer. We needed to be a part. We needed to partner with Zimbabwe for them to be able to realize their aspirations, at the same time developing mutually beneficial partnerships with Zimbabwe. And therefore, we are very grateful to Larry for taking the immediate step to be part of the advance team that went to Zimbabwe. And the objective of this advance team was essentially to engage in high-level conversation with government and the business community as a way of preparing for a bigger delegation that is being planned for December this year. So I can say that the objectives of the mission by the president and his delegation was simply to go to Zimbabwe, kind of like a scoping mission, understand the terrain, business terrain, and other dynamics in the country so that they are better able to prepare for the mission in December so that it becomes as productive as possible. So essentially, it was establish mutual beneficial partnerships, take advantage of the opportunities that exist in Zimbabwe, and explore areas of cooperation and partnerships. In the process, consolidate and expand trade and investment opportunities between the two institutions that are mutually beneficial.
And you know what? And these weren't standard. These weren't standard types of meetings. You know, this wasn't just a bunch of business owners getting together. You guys had major ministers of various government organizations that were present in these meetings. And for our listeners, can you just give them an overview of which ministers were that we actually met with while we were there? Because I want them to get an understanding of this is a real deal. This is not just, this wasn't a vacation trip. Which
Oh,
departments
yes.
were we meeting with while over there?
Oh, yes. So the delegation was able to meet with the key ministers as outlined on our agenda and in line with our objectives. So they met with the Minister of Foreign Affairs and International Trade. They also met with the Minister of Finance. They met with the Minister of Energy and Power Development, because we do have a lineup of a number of energy projects. They also met with the Minister of Health and Child Care, and over and above these and also the Minister of Local Government and National Housing, as well as the Minister of National Housing. Then, apart from meeting with these ministers, they also met with the critical agencies of government that have got the mandate to facilitate various aspects of doing business in Zimbabwe. They met with the ZIDA, which is the Zimbabwe Investment and Development Agency, which is a one-stop shop entity that has been created to process all investment inquiries under one roof. They also met with an agent that is called Minerals Marketing Corporation of Zimbabwe, which has got the mandate to facilitate importation, exports of minerals from Zimbabwe. And already, through the Illinois state, we have received specific orders for the certain type of minerals that are required here, and we are in the process of processing. And the agent that they met, which is the Minerals Marketing Corporation of Zimbabwe, is the one that is responsible for ensuring delivery of such order. They also met with the CEO Africa Roundtable, which is a group of the CEOs in Zimbabwe, and I'm sure the beginning of next month they will be undertaking a trip to the United States, and they will also be in Chicago, and I'm sure arrangements are being made so that they also be on the program when they are here. So these are the critical stakeholders, critical ministers and agencies that are responsible for facilitating doing business in Zimbabwe. And so we are happy that the trip, from my feedback, was very, very productive.
So, you know what? I want to add to this conversation of a really good friend of the show and a really great friend of Larry Ivory and the Illinois State Black Chamber of Commerce, our very own Professor Earl Caldwell, because there were also opportunities in healthcare. And Professor Caldwell observed some very, very unique things while he was there. So, Professor Caldwell, welcome to the Wake Up Show Chicago. Sir, good morning. How are you doing? Professor Caldwell.
I'm doing well. How are you?
Man, always better when you get on the line, Doc.
Well, thank you.
So I want to bring you into this conversation, and can you share with us what was your experience while you were there? What was the most impactful? Because you know what, Larry came back on fire, talking about he's ready to be a millionaire now, and and that the opportunities are so plentiful, and now is the time for us to act and execute. So I am sure you had a similar kind of fire. But Doc, I'm gonna let you tell your story.
Well, thank you, and always a pleasure. Good hearing from you, Sister LaDonna. Good to hear you as well. Good to hear you, my dear friend and colleague, Honorable Minister Mushayi, who has been working most diligently and tirelessly to facilitate all that we're trying to do through the Illinois State Black Chamber. What I will start with is chairman. I call Larry Ivory chairman. So when you hear me say chairman, that's president, CEO, and chairman Larry Ivory. So I just refer to him as chairman. So
Well, you're chairman also. You're chairman, chairman, international committee, special advisor to the president. You know.
Well, right, but he's the big chairman. I'm just a little chairman.
Gotcha.
I'm a little chairman. But thank you. Yes, I was going to say that Chairman Ivory asked me to be the chairman for the international committee for the Illinois State Black Chamber, and of course I did so with great honor, and I'm really appreciative. He has the confidence in me to do that, and so in that role, as a Black Chamber, of course, we are focused on developing business internationally, and our focus is Africa. And so when the delegation from Zimbabwe came to Chicago, as the Minister Mushayi mentioned, to engage with Zimbabwe, we have been doing so with great intention and purpose for the opportunity. And so in that role, I have been working with the team of Zimbabwe to research, understand, facilitate for our members and friends to engage with Zimbabwe. And so while on the advanced trip of the past couple of weeks, you heard the minister talk about the various agencies that we met, and of course a lot of people. But what it did, and what we are preparing for, is to allow for the delegation that will come in December, and we anticipate anywhere between 75 and 100 people representing numerous businesses across different sectors. What we want to do with intention and purpose is make sure that we have a curated experience, so that for your particular business interest, we want to make sure that we have identified from the government agencies, departments, and ministries. There could be other organizations that support doing, and of course from the private sector. And so what we want to do is make sure that we create that environment to give you the information and the support to do business in Zimbabwe, if that's something you decide to do once you've been there and once you've done a little due diligence.
So you guys are playing, so you guys have done all the groundwork, and I think one of the things that was most interesting, even when Jonah was speaking, was the fact that you guys have met with all of the heads and established all the different areas that we can actually meet in. And I like the fact that we don't necessarily have to come over and have a general overlay of what's possible, but yet that we can drill down into the areas of our specific businesses. Now, was that by design, so that people aren't wasting their time?
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. We have to do that. Part of the advanced team is so that we can minimize some of the any waste of time, per se, not waste of time, but we can streamline the process so that we can understand what you're interested in. We can identify what that looks like in Zimbabwe, so that there can be more immediate, meaningful discussion about looking to explore for collaborations. Because just like there are businesses in Illinois that are looking to expand, there are businesses in Zimbabwe looking to do that too.
All right, we're gonna slide in. We're gonna slide in, Professor.
Hold on, Professor. We're gonna slide in. We're gonna pay some bills and have a commercial break, and then we're gonna come right back to you. This is the Wake Up Show.
Welcome back. Welcome back to the Wake Up Show Chicago. I am LaDonna Raeh, and I'm going to remind you guys that next year we got a lot of stuff coming up. I know you're listening and taking all this in. Everybody's like, ooh, I want to do business in Zimbabwe, right? But you can also go to our website and you'll see what's going on with us. Next year, we're going to be doing the Illinois State Black Chamber of Commerce pre-convention cruise. So you want to be ready for that, right, my MC?
That is
Because you made
correct.
a look, and
And
then we.
go
No,
ahead.
look, let me tell you something. When I say I got it handled,
Go ahead.
I got it handled. Okay.
Go ahead.
So, and then we have the 20th anniversary for the business convention going on next year. And that's going to be at Wind Creek Casino. And that's in the southern suburbs. All of you all that love that 3-hour drive to Peoria, Illinois every year, I'm so sorry to disappoint you and tell you that we've moved it closer. Okay, so you don't have that 3-hour drive, just about 20 minutes. We're going to be at Wind Creek next year, next August. All right, so just wanted to put those out there. So you can pre register for the convention by going to ilbcc.org and look for events and then go to the convention. It is there for you. All right. So we left off with Professor Caldwell talking about the expansion of business in Illinois. And what?
No,
Okay.
ahead.
Am I right? Is that where we left off? Because
That's
that's
where we
what
left off.
okay, I got it. And Professor Caldwell, I just want you to continue with that message because we wanted to make sure that our listeners are gaining information from everything that you guys have experienced and brought back for us.
Thank you. Yes. Going back to the trade mission, the purpose of the trade mission is to connect Illinois businesses who either, one, want to expand their businesses in Zimbabwe, or two, collaborate with businesses in Zimbabwe to expand their business. And similarly, there will be Zimbabwean businesses looking to do business in Illinois. And so the environment that we're looking to create will facilitate that at the various levels, from the government side, from the private sector side, from other organizations that support and promote doing business. And so the trade mission will be December 1st through December 9th. You can put that in your calendar. In the next week or so, we will be sending out more detailed information in terms of registration, so on and so forth. But December 1 through December 9th, come join us in Zimbabwe.
So, Professor, I keep wanting to call you Doc. So what type of business should be looking to come? Because, you got some people that are selling T-shirts on the street corner, and then you got some people who've been in business for 10 years and they're well developed. So what's the profile of someone of a small business or any kind of business that should be interested in being part of our delegation in December?
Well, the profile, quite honestly, is that you do want to do business. You see, whether it's small, whether it's big, if you were interested in doing business, there very well could be and probably is an opportunity, because remember, Zimbabwe is a country, just like America is a country. And what are all the business opportunities in America? Well, those opportunities, many of them are similar in Zimbabwe. And so whether you're a more sophisticated company, or if you're a smaller company that's more niche or targeted with your product or service, there's an opportunity. And so to the extent that you might wonder if your business fits, please reach out to me, because as the chairman of the International Committee, part of my role is to support and provide information about the various things that we're doing. So I'm happy to have a more private conversation with you about your business and how you might think it will fit in the Zimbabwe marketplace.
And you know what? That's
what we got a question. Actually, somebody asked a specific industry. Someone said, what is the trucking looking like over in Zimbabwe? If you have a trucking industry business, what is that looking like in Zimbabwe?
So trucking is transportation, and there certainly are opportunities in that space. Now, I know that from the broad kind of transportation infrastructure, trucking, movement of goods, there is opportunities there. And what I would say again is, for that individual who's in the trucking space, please reach out to me, and I'm happy to have a follow-up conversation to get more granular with what your business does in trucking. What are you thinking about doing, and that sort of thing.
In just like you said, that there are opportunities that are very similar to the ones that are in the States. There are also opportunities that most people would not think of and that are actually viable. I have a team, and our objective is to go to Zimbabwe and investigate starting our own mining company in Zimbabwe. And so, and that's not something that I would normally think of here in the States. Matter of fact, it didn't even come to mind until we went to we were part of Zim Expo here in Chicago a few months ago, and that's when the opportunity was brought to my attention. So there are even areas that are outside of the norm, and I just think that is an awesome thing. The idea of being able to go into other types of industries that you may have not otherwise had any experience in, but with your due diligence, you can expand into those areas.
Well, and let me say this: yes, there are mining opportunities again at the bigger corporate levels, but at the smaller scale. And I can tell you, while I was there, I did go to a lithium mine and a small scale gold mine, and saw where they're doing it, what they're doing it, how they're doing it, and saw the opportunities in that space and the opportunities to collaborate and partner with Zimbabweans in that space. So you are absolutely correct.
See,
can I also add?
Come on.
Okay, so I just wanted to talk about the specific issue raised on the trucking business. Just to add from what Professor said, that Zimbabwe has got an excellent geographical location. It is actually at that position where it is, of course, we are land locked, but we are land linked to the critical wider market in Africa. So you find we've got a very good road network, a very good air network that can actually enable Zimbabwe to be established as a logistical hub, targeting the SADC, the Southern African Development Community, the Common Market for Eastern and Southern Africa, and the bigger continental free trade area. So when you are talking about the trucking business opportunities, yes, there's a huge opportunity that is being presented not only for Zimbabwe, but for the supply to include the wider African community because of our geographical positioning, which is very excellent. And then on the mining opportunities, which also Professor touched on, we are blessed as a country to be endowed with so many different minerals. What we have, 60 plus different minerals, although some are yet to be explored. So when we look into the commodities like lithium and we look into the green revolution that is being pursued, in terms of the climate change and other issues, we are looking at this as an opportunity that should facilitate commodity-based industrialization for the country, at the same time being also able to manufacture the products that are required by the American companies, taking advantage of the mineral endowments we have, lithium, whatever. You set up a shop, you manufacture for your companies here. So these are some of the things that we will be exploring in specific terms as we move into the December business mission. Thank you.
Jonah, I have a specific question for you. You mentioned ZETA early on, which is the Zimbabwe Investment and Development Agency, where they will help facilitate the business participation between Zimbabwe and the United States. Do they also help manage the communication? Is there a streamlined process? Because obviously the way that business is done here or in any business is one way. But then when you try to put the two countries together, is Zeta in a position to help manage the communication so that you know exactly who your point person is?
Right. Exactly. My short answer to that is yes. So you'll find that in 2020, a government enacted an investment law, which is now the Zimbabwe Investment and Development Act, which gave birth to the Zimbabwe Investment and Development Agency. And basically, it amalgamates three investment arms that prior to 2020 exist as independent units. So they were consolidated into a one entity, which is now called ZETA.
All right. Well, we're gonna hold it right there. Now called Zeta. We'll come back to that. We're gonna go ahead and go into our last commercial break during this Wake Up Show Chicago hour. I'm LaDonna Raeh with MC Pearson. Shout out to everyone listening. Make sure you call in. You only got 15 minutes. 773-591-1690. Okay. If you missed the getting down. And there you heard it straight from Larry. He said, in order to do business over internationally, you have to know how to do business here. Okay.
Right. Now, gentlemen, what I would like for you to speak to is to the naysayers that are in the ears of these entrepreneurs. We have entrepreneurs and budding entrepreneurs that, they've been hearing about the opportunity for the last couple of weeks, and we've done a few podcasts about it, and and they're talking to their loved ones, and they're talking to their friends, and their friends are saying, there's too many issues going on over there. As a matter of fact, personally, someone said to me, oh, they're having issues with rolling blackouts, and my mind said, well, then maybe I need to look into getting into solar and figuring out how do I get solar over there. What do you say to the naysayers who think that there are just too many issues? I personally believe that issues are opportunities for business. But gentlemen, I want you to speak to those naysayers or those entrepreneurs who are being discouraged by people who do not believe in the opportunity.
Well, if I may start, and then I'll defer to the honorable minister. With I've been dealing with and in Africa for more than 2 decades, in West Africa, and now with East and Southern Africa. And one of the things that is interesting to me is that you see a lot of Africans at the embassies trying to go to Canada, the U.S., UK, and that sort of thing. But you see a lot of the Canadians, the Brits, and Americans coming into Africa to do business. So it's a very interesting juxtaposition to me to see that Africans are on some level leaving Africa. African Americans do not want to come to Africa, but everybody else is coming to Africa to do business. And so what I would say to you from observing this for decades is that there is a plethora of opportunities in Africa. And because Africa, with intention and purpose, was undeveloped by the colonial powers, in 2024, that lends itself to more opportunities now that don't exist in, let's say, for example, other developed countries. And so anywhere in the world, there's negative energy, there's crime, there are people who are trying to take and steal from you, but that's anywhere. And so you have to do your due diligence anywhere in the world. But the opportunities in Africa generally, in Zimbabwe specifically, are enormous. And at a minimum, just go see. Africa is not for everybody, just like America isn't for everybody, just like Europe isn't for everyone. But take a look-see and see what the opportunities may be, in particular if you're Black, because that is where historically your ancestors came from.
Very well said, Jonah.
Okay, so yeah, coming to Professor's point, this is exactly what we are saying, that our brothers, African Americans, they must not continue sitting on the fence. Because personally myself, before coming to the position I have now, I used to work for ZIDA, which is an investment agency. And you can see a lot of traffic from other countries, from other continents, but very little, flow coming from our brothers here. And I think that perception, in my view, needs to be erased, because other continents are coming and exploiting those opportunities. Whereas our brothers, who believe we share, a lot in common, they are not yet ready for that. So we challenge them that these opportunities are real. These opportunities are real, and they must not wait any longer. They must come. I think Black Americans, they do command a very a significant portion of the U.S. economy. They are capable to be able to do these businesses outside and benefit, for the mutual benefit. So we challenge them that they must come. These opportunities are real. They are there. They exist. And like for Zimbabwe, we've created a conducive investment environment that allows processing of all investment inquiries under one roof, where you do not have to be wandering from one entity to another. We've created a one-stop shop. So what you only need to do, present your case to the ZIDA, and then they will do the running around you while you are in the comfort of your hotel or whatever. So I think it's a challenge that I'm posing. These opportunities are real indeed.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes, they are. You know what? We got a call on the line. Dave, welcome to the Wake Up Show, Chicago. Why don't you go ahead and wake us up, Dave?
Well, thank you so much. Thank you for answering my question. I am a over-the-road trucker, independent contractor. So that's why I kind of asked that question about that industry. My question is this for the minister. Well, it's actually a two-part question, but I guess the one that I'm thinking of mostly is what are or is the plans for Zimbabwe as far as like long term, like 20 years, 50 years? I know it's not, wouldn't behoove anybody to, like, for example, the state I'm in now, they have fracking and the kind of problems like that. So that was my main question is what does Zimbabwe look like for the future for Zimbabwe, and therefore also how we would do business and, look at it, like for my children, to go to college there or something like that. So, yeah, what is the future envisioned for Zimbabwe? Thank you so much.
It's actually a good question.
Okay, so maybe to start with, I can say that Zimbabwe is a small open economy with a GDP of around 30 billion and a population of 15.1 million as per the 2013 census. So, talking about plans, currently, the priorities and vision for the country, we are operating under a 2030 vision. The country's 2030 national vision, which is guiding all the entities of government. And the attainment of this vision is actually to become an upper middle income economy by 2030. And becoming an upper middle income economy, we are going to do that by the implementation of a 2 5-year economic development plan. So currently we have what we call the National Development Strategy 1, which has been in place since 2020 up to 2025, and is going to be succeeded by another National Development Strategy 2 running from 2026 to 2030. So these are currently we are operating under Vision 2030, which is actually to become a upper middle income economy, and the attainment of that is going to be achieved through this national development plans. So our long-term plan is also aligned to the African Union 2063 agenda, which actually looks into the broader continental free trade area, which is being, spearheaded by the African Union, incorporating all African countries. And also, in terms of the economic growth, we are targeting to grow our economy from 30 billion to 100 billion in the medium to long term. And this is only possible through the mantra that we adopted. Zimbabwe is open for business, which is also demonstrated through the one-stop investment center that I've alluded to, and also the openness that we are now aggressively inviting the trade and investment opportunities to be exploited in the country to be able to drive us towards that, milestones that we are talking about. Thank you.
The acknowledgement of the fact that this is a long-term business investment. This isn't something that we're going to be doing for a year, for 2 years. We're talking about being able to plant roots, being able to grow our businesses, being able to create generational wealth within the country of Zimbabwe. I think that was a very excellent question, because no one wants to invest and then it goes up in smoke in 6 months. So
Yes.
we have the so Professor, if you could speak to exactly what our delegation is going to be doing when we go in December, and the opportunities for signing up for it, as we get to the end of this hour.
And also if you could speak about the group that we're going to be hosting in October.
Okay, so what we're looking at doing in December, the first few days, well, here's a tentative brief schedule. We leave on December 1st, arrive, which is Sunday, after Thanksgiving, arrive on Monday afternoon. We'll have a welcome reception with the group that I will talk about after that will be here in the next week or so. Then on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, we will have dedicated business-to-business meetings, presentations from various ministries, departments, and agencies, various engagement with private sector companies and other individuals looking to do business with American businesses looking to expand their businesses. And so that first 3 days will be a very concentrated engagement with business-to-business meetings, engagements, and opportunity to learn about one another. Then there will also be engagement with the government. We will also visit the embassy, or at least have some engagement with the U.S. Embassy there. And then also we will go, because Zimbabwe has some wonderful, wonderful tourist opportunities. We're going to go to Mushayi Otunya. Now, you say, what? Mushayi Otunya, what is that? Well, that is the traditional name for what everybody knows is Victoria Falls. I'm going to call it the traditional name that they call it before somebody changed it to Victoria Falls. So
love it. Love it. Love it. Well, we want to thank both of you. And I'm so sorry because we're up on that 10 o'clock hour.
Okay.
But we want to thank both of you, Professor Caldwell and Jonah Mushayi, Minister Jonah Mushayi. Thank you so much for being on the Wake Up Show Chicago. And guys, make sure you tune in with us each and every Saturday at 9 a.m. Central Daylight Savings Time. It's getting dark early, y'all. But make sure you also subscribe to our YouTube channel. If you look for the Wake Up Show Chicago, make sure you put Chicago on the end. And we're on Facebook if you want to go there and check out some things that we're dropping gems, y'all. And you can tune in with us on demand on YouTube. And that way, if you miss some of it and you want to rewind, you can go right to YouTube and listen to what you missed and tune in with us and get that information and send it out to the people. Make sure you share, and we'll see you next Saturday on the Wake Up Show Chicago. Bye-bye, everyone.
Thank you.